The global trade map, which has remained largely unchanged for over a century, is now on the brink of a seismic shift. The familiar routes that have long defined the flow of goods and power are about to be challenged in a way the world has not seen in generations. At the heart of this transformation is China, spearheading a monumental $50 billion project to carve a canal across Thailand's Isthmus of Kra. This ambitious engineering feat would create a direct shortcut between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, fundamentally altering the geography of global trade. But this is far more than just another infrastructure project. It's a bold geopolitical move that signals China's intent to reshape the balance of power in the region and beyond. The proposed Kra Canal would allow ships to bypass the congested and strategically vulnerable Strait of Malacca, a choke point that currently handles a significant portion of the world's maritime trade. By offering a faster, safer alternative, the canal promises to reshape not only trade routes, but also economic relationships and political alliances across Asia. For centuries, Western powers have controlled the world's most critical maritime choke points, such as the Panama and Suez Canals, using them as levers of influence and control over global commerce. Now, for the first time, China is building its own strategic waterway, signaling a new era in which the balance of maritime power may shift eastward. The Kra Canal would cut an astonishing 1,100 kilometers from existing shipping routes, saving up to 5 days per voyage. For shipping companies and global supply chains, this is nothing short of a game changer, promising faster deliveries and reduced costs on a massive scale. For Thailand, the canal represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to transform itself into a major trade hub, attracting investment, jobs, and international attention as a new gateway between East and West. But for Singapore and Malaysia, whose economies rely heavily on their strategic positions along current shipping lanes, the canal poses an existential threat, potentially diverting billions in trade and undermining their status as regional powerhouses. For the United States, India, and Japan, the project is a direct challenge to their influence in Asia, raising concerns about security, access, and the shifting dynamics of regional power. Around the globe, governments, businesses, and ordinary people are watching closely as China attempts to redraw the maritime map, setting the stage for a new balance of power in the 21st century. The Kra Canal is more than just a channel through land. It's the opening of a new chapter in the ongoing contest for global influence, with consequences that will ripple across continents and generations. The Kra Canal isn't a new idea. It's a 300-year-old dream that has fascinated rulers, traders, and visionaries for generations. The idea of slicing through the narrowest part of the Malay Peninsula to connect the Gulf of Thailand with the Andaman Sea has always promised to transform regional trade and reshape the map of Southeast Asia. First proposed by King Narai in 1677, the canal was always just out of reach due to overwhelming costs, limited technology, and the ever-shifting sands of regional politics. Each generation revisited the idea, but the obstacles seemed insurmountable. Colonial powers like Britain and France recognized its immense potential, but they also feared it would undermine their own interests, especially the rise of Singapore as a dominant trade hub. The canal threatened to divert lucrative shipping routes away from their prized ports. The project resurfaced time and again throughout history, but Cold War politics, regional instability, and the delicate balance of power kept it on the shelf. No one wanted to upset the fragile status quo. The United States, with its powerful navy and influence over global trade, had little incentive to disrupt a system that favored its dominance in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. The canal remained a distant dream. What's changed now is China's arrival on the world stage, with the capital, advanced technology, and strategic drive to finally make the Kra Canal a reality. China's ambitions are reshaping the region. Under the sweeping Belt and Road Initiative, China is building new trade corridors across continents, and the Kra Canal fits perfectly into this grand vision of global connectivity and economic influence. It's no longer just a Thai ambition, It's now a key link in China's expanding global network, connecting Asia to the world and promising to shift the balance of power in the region. With massive Chinese backing and investment, the canal is closer to reality than ever before, signaling a major shift in regional power dynamics and economic influence. The centuries-old fantasy is now on the verge of becoming a geopolitical possibility, one that could redefine trade, politics, and the future of Southeast Asia. The economic logic behind the Kra Canal is undeniable. The Strait of Malacca is overcrowded, risky, and expensive, handling a third of global trade. The canal would cut 1,200 kilometers and up to 5 days off shipping routes, saving hundreds of thousands in fuel per voyage. For Thailand, it's a chance to transform its south into a booming trade and industrial zone, creating millions of jobs and boosting GDP. The ripple effects would benefit China, Japan, South Korea, and even India and Bangladesh, lowering costs and opening new markets. The canal would foster deeper integration between South and Southeast Asia, shifting investment and trade patterns. It's not just a shortcut, it's a catalyst for a new economic geography. The world's supply chains could be redrawn overnight. The Kra Canal is a geopolitical game-changer. By financing and building the canal, China would control a new artery of global trade, challenging U.S. maritime dominance. The U.S. relies on controlling choke points like Malacca for leverage. A China-backed canal would erode that power. For China, it's a secure route for its navy and energy supplies, bypassing U.S.-patrolled waters. India sees the canal as a threat, giving China faster naval access to the Indian Ocean and complicating regional security. ASEAN could be split. Thailand stands to gain, while Singapore and Malaysia risk losing their strategic and economic edge. The canal could divert shipping from Singapore, impacting its economy and straining regional unity. China could exploit these divisions to expand its influence. The Indo-Pacific's balance of power is at stake. The Kra Canal's true significance lies in what it bypasses: the Strait of Malacca. This narrow passage handles over 60% of global maritime trade and 80% of China's oil imports, a vital but vulnerable artery. Its geography makes it prone to accidents, piracy, and, crucially, blockade by rival navies. For China, this Malacca dilemma is a strategic nightmare. The canal would give China a secure, alternative route for trade and military movement, reducing its exposure to U.S. and Allied control. It would also allow China's navy to move between oceans with less risk of detection or interdiction. Singapore and the U.S. would lose leverage, as the canal diminishes the Malacca Strait's centrality. The project is a direct challenge to the old maritime order. By reshaping the map, China is rewriting the rules of regional power. Building the Kra Canal is a colossal engineering feat. The plan, a 120-kilometer channel, 400 meters wide, 30 meters deep, big enough for the world's largest ships. The project would require moving nearly 3 billion cubic meters of earth, cutting through hills, jungles, and villages. Supporting infrastructure, ports, roads, railways, even new cities, would transform southern Thailand. The $50 billion price tag is beyond Thailand alone. China's financial muscle is essential. Chinese firms would likely build and operate the canal for decades, recouping costs through tolls. Construction could take 10 to 15 years, mobilizing a global workforce and supply chain. If completed, it would cement China's reputation as a mega-project powerhouse. The Kra Canal's promise comes with steep costs. Cutting a channel through the Kra Isthmus would devastate fragile ecosystems, disrupt wildlife, and threaten marine life by mixing two distinct seas. Billions of cubic meters of earth would be dumped, risking pollution and harming fishing communities. Thousands of people would be displaced, losing homes and livelihoods, while the influx of workers could strain local resources. Southern Thailand's political tensions could worsen if local voices are ignored. Proponents tout economic benefits, but critics warn of irreversible environmental and social damage. The true price of progress remains deeply contested. The Kra Canal is part of a global trend, new trade corridors reshaping the world. China's Belt and Road Initiative is building ports, railways, and pipelines to bypass U.S.-controlled routes and create a China-centric network. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor links Gwadar Port to western China, offering a land route for energy imports. The Northern Sea Route across the Arctic, opening as ice melts, could cut Europe-Asia transit times by 40%. These projects are interconnected, challenging the old maritime order and integrating Eurasia. Rising powers are building their own infrastructure, creating a more complex, competitive global landscape. The world's trade routes are being redrawn, by design, not by accident. The $50 billion Craw Canal is more than just a shortcut for ships and cargo. It's rapidly becoming a symbol of shifting global power and the changing dynamics of international trade. If built, the canal would deliver enormous economic gains, spur rapid Thai development, and further integrate Asia's economies, connecting East and West like never before. But the challenges are immense. Engineering obstacles, massive financing needs, environmental risks, and the potential for social upheaval in affected regions. Above all, the Craw Canal is a geopolitical flashpoint, drawing the attention of major world powers. It threatens the economic interests of Singapore, as well as Malaysia, the United States, and India, all of whom have strategic stakes in the region. For China, the canal would solve its so-called Malacca dilemma, reducing reliance on vulnerable shipping lanes. It would boost China's influence and military reach, allowing it to project power more effectively. Alongside other new corridors, the Craw Canal marks the end of a unipolar maritime-dominated era, ushering in a new age of competition and connectivity. The dream of a Craw Canal is closer than ever before, with investors and governments watching closely, but the risks and rewards are now clear for all. The debate is urgent and intensifying, not if, but when, and on whose terms, this ambitious new waterway will be built, and how it will ultimately reshape the world's economic and political landscape. The future of global trade and power truly hangs in the balance, as the world waits for the next move.